From Interior Alaska's most trusted news source, this is the Fbx Evening News.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. Over the weekend, the Fbx North Star Borough School Board met once again to discuss next year's budget.
The focus to this point has been to save as many teaching positions as possible in light of smaller than requested funding from both the state and the Fairbanks Borough. So far, the board has managed to save 23 teacher positions, but at the cost of reducing several other programs. A proposal to decrease special education funding by $1.5 million was generally agreed to, despite objections from school district officials. Now, the budget isn't final yet. Board members will meet again in May 17th before approving the final budget later that week.
The Fairbanks North Star Borough today started a series of public meetings on the local transit system. The borough is seeking input for long and short-term planning for the systems. The transit development plan that is being formed will go to the Borough Assembly for consideration when it's done. Meetings are being held in Fairbanks, North Pole, and Salcha to hear from those who use the metropolitan area commuter system buses to see what might be changed to make the service better.
Have a consultant here, a contractor, to do the work for us to develop the plan. It involves a lot of public participation, including these workshops we're doing today and tomorrow, to have people come down and express their opinion on the transit system, on how we can improve it.
Senator Lisa Murkowski recently spoke with officials from the U.S. Corps of Engineers and expressed frustration on behalf of the community of Delta Junction. The Corps is in planning stages to outfit Fort Greely with a new biomass plant. Murkowski said she has talked with many community members regarding the plant, and they're upset that their advice and input is not being heard. Last week, Murkowski asked for more transparency and community engagement when questioning the commander of the U.S. Corps of Engineers in Washington, D.C. General Thomas Bostic said they would get involved, but not all aspects of the project have been worked out.
The biomass part, that part of the project has not been awarded. So, and we're keenly aware that we need to be absolutely transparent with the local community.
Therein lies the rub with the community. So the more transparent I think you can be with the local people there, the better, and I would appreciate that. So thank you.
A new federal strategy for the Arctic conflicts with the idea that the Coast Guard will withdraw from the area. Although cuts are coming under sequestration, the Arctic will remain a priority. That's according to Coast Guard officials. Lieutenant Governor Meade Treadwell says despite the cutbacks, the Coast Guard will continue to serve the region. The Coast Guard will look at where it can be most effective during Operation Arctic Shield this summer.
The Coast Guard is very well aware of that mission, and it's going to take some time to get all the equipment in place. There are two things that happened this year. Sequestration, so the budget's been cut, and also the fact that Shell isn't going to be operating there.
So how about that weather?
Yeah, well, it was nice, and then it was not so nice, and lately it's been not so nice.
Not so nice. Mike, why is it not so nice?
Well, for a couple of reasons. Unfortunately, we have an area of low pressure that's sitting over the northwest part of the state, and that is helping to usher in a lot of cold air. In fact, a record low temperature of 22 degrees was recorded this morning at the Fairbanks International Airport. As you can see on the satellite picture, well, you can't see it because we're going to black, but I'll tell you right now, hopefully this will come back up. Well, we're showing the area of low pressure with a counterclockwise flow. Here it is. As you can see, once again, you can see the movement of the area of low pressure right here, helping to usher in that cold air, and it's also bringing in a lot of wind with it too. Now, there's a guy at the National Weather Service has a little more information on it. I had a chance to talk with him today. Here's what he had to say.
Well, there's several deep and cold lows in the Arctic Ocean that have been twirling around each other for a number of weeks, and one of those dropped to the north-central interior on Sunday. The associated cold front swept through Sunday night and early Monday morning, bringing a good dose of cold air to the interior.
The good news is we should begin to warm back up again. We've heard that before, right? We'll talk more about all the weather later on. Stephanie, Daryl?
All right, Mike, we're going to hold you to it. All right, well, when we come back, a look back at yesterday's UAF commencement.
Also, a special report on outdoor safety. Those stories are next. Stay with us. And welcome back to the Fbx Evening News. A standing room only crowd at the Carlson Center was on hand Sunday as the University of Alaska Fairbanks held their 90th commencement exercises. News Center 11's Daryl Lewis was there and has more.
Thanks. The old saying goes, my, how time flies. And for this reporter, has it really been 25 years since he took a similar walk? Only those shindigs were held at the Patty Center and not at the Carlson Center behind me, which hadn't even been built yet. And now 25 years later, in 2013, a May Day, Mother's Day, we honor those taking those first steps into the future. Standing room only crowd, and for a brief time, more graduates and faculty than there were chairs. Those I spoke to come from different parts of the state, and even the world for that matter, all called it a tremendous milestone.
Oh, I feel it's really good. I think I graduate, and now I think I can pay back to the society. I can find jobs and get some payback to my parents. I'm really good.
Happy to graduate from here. I just come here for 2 years. It's a very beautiful city. I love it.
And while some say they're not all the way there, this day holds meaning as well.
I'm halfway there. I'm a dual degree seeking student, so I've just finished my associates and I'm still working on my bachelor's degree here at UAF. But it's nice to at least be half done and be able to march on a Mother's Day, at least give my mom a bit of the action.
I spent the last 2 years studying renewable energy, and I'm very excited to be graduating with this class.
And as I mentioned earlier, one word, time. Thomas Hughes hails from the southeast part of the state and says it took a while to get to this point.
This milestone's everything for me. I was a returning student in my mid-20s and had aspirations of being a college graduate, and it was just such a long road to get to this point, but today's just that celebration, so it's pretty amazing for me.
For others, the sacrifice getting here has been even greater.
Brain tumor surgery knocked me out of school for a few years, and I finally came back this year to get the rest.
Going through those hardships right there, what that means to finally have getting that piece of paper.
I so want to go back to the village and show the kids if I could do it, they could do it.
Spring is upon us here in the interior, and that means recreational season has begun. Tonight we bring you some tips on how to make your time outdoors safe. Alaska provides some of the best opportunities for outdoor recreation. Alaska can also be one of the most dangerous places to explore. So what happens if you get in trouble? There are some tips that can help make your time in the woods more safe.
The key to survival here in Alaska and safe recreating is to stay dry. Water in some of its various forms is usually the thing that causes people the most trouble. Either they're in water and they drowned. Hypothermia is usually caused from getting wet and losing body core temperature, and then water in a different form, avalanches or falling through ice into cold water. Those are generally the most dangerous things for most recreators in Alaska.
When exploring the backcountry of Alaska, it's important to include some specific gear to ensure your safety.
Fire starter, 3 or 4 ways to start a fire. A sleeping bag, cover, which is I like to use for weight and size, a space blanket. A sleeping pad to keep you off the ground because cold will seep up through there. So you've got fire, you've got warmth, you've got cover, food for energy. One of the most important things, again, be able to communicate with the outside world. Spot devices, in reach, satellite phone, something you can let people know I'm okay, or either send help and this is the condition I'm in.
Another important tip is to never travel alone.
The theory that I've always worked on is 4 people make up a safe travel group. If 4 people are traveling, 1 person becomes injured and can't continue, you'd like to leave 1 person with them and have 2 people to go out for help if your communication system fails. That way you don't have any person left alone at any time or traveling on their own.
Out of all the tips provided, one is most important: never overexert oneself.
If you're going to be out in the backcountry, it's best if you stay well within your skill level for the first couple of trips, learn and just take baby steps in more complexity.
All right, well, we will have more on wild animal safety in Alaska in part 2 of our coverage tomorrow on the Fairbanks Evening News and News Center Final.
Okay, after the break, Joe Cook has some sports. He has a full weekend recap. He's highlighting the Region 6 track championships and other spring sports. Also, an inspiring basketball player continues her athletic career, signing with a college today. So he's got those next. Joe, around the block.
Hello, Interior Alaska. Joe Cook here in the sports seat for you this evening. It's Monday, so that means it's weekend recap time. The Region 6 championships in track and field wrapped up on Saturday. Area athletes competed for state championship qualifying and team titles, which went to the Lathrop boys team and the West Valley girls for the second year in a row. Lathrop tallied 94 points and West Valley had 95 to lead the women. Lathrop's Tevin Glavin swept the jumps, winning the high, long, and triple jump events. He also won the 110-meter hurdles. Hunter Desmond won the 200 meters. The Malamutes won 10 of 17 events for the title. The West Valley girls won 8 events and 2 relays. Sarah Jackson and Caitlin Bryce went 1-2 in the 100-meter hurdles. Dorothy O'Donnell won the 3,200 and 1,600 meters, and Patty Egan won the 200 meters. In 3A, Delta Junction swept the boys and girls titles. 84 points for the girls and 95 for the boys. The Huskies were led by their distance runners. Daniel Tatarenko won the 3,200 and 1,600 meters, and Zoya Timoshenko won the 3,200 and 800 meters. The ASAA State Track and Field Championships start this Friday at Lathrop High School. And to really finally kick off the high school baseball season, there was some action this weekend. To start a full week of baseball on Saturday, the North Pole Patriots routed the Allison Ravens with a 24-0 win and a 24-2 win in their doubleheader. The Monroe Rams had the game of the day on Saturday with the Rams and the Mountains getting in action. Tyler Wells was the man. Wells pitched a complete game, throwing 152 pitches, getting 11 Ks. Wells struck out the side in the top of the 7th to stop Lathrop's rally and secure the 1-run victory. And for those who were on the pitch at Newby Field over the weekend, there were some interesting outcomes. The Hutchinson Hawks girls soccer team shocked the Interior with a 3-1 win over West Valley on Friday. Ellie Veazey had 2 assists, while Katie Hopper, Gretchen Petrie, and Ashley Stark scored all the goals in the first half for Hutch. On Saturday, Hutch continued to roll with the 10-0 win over Allison, as Petrie and M. Sparks both had hat tricks. And in boys soccer, the boys will follow suit with a 4-0 win over the Ravens, with all 4 goals in the second half. Christian Schur and Enzo Fascetto both had 2 goals for Hutch. The West Valley boys were dominant as well, facing their rival Malamutes for the only time in this short regular season with an 8-1 win, thanks to a quad by Brandon DeWeese. DeWeese scored not 1, not 2, but 4 goals, a hat trick and a bonus for the Wolfpack. In the high school softball this past weekend, the Lathrop Malamutes are still the top dog. Lathrop faced North Pole in a non-conference game and won 9-0. The Duffield sisters, freshman Kimmy and junior Casey, split the pitching and both had 5 strikeouts in the 5-inning game. Casey went 3 for 3 and 2 homers and had 6 RBI in the win. The Allison Ravens won 17-2 over Hutchinson. Denise Zapata had the big bat, going 4 for 4 and had 2 RBIs. Michaela Griffith threw a 2-hitter with 3 strikeouts for the Ravens. And finally tonight, West Valley's Lajan Ashmore signed her national letter of intent today. Ashmore will go on to the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., to play basketball for Gallaudet University, a Division III program. If you remember our story on Lajan Ashmore, she is hard of hearing, but Gallaudet is the only school specifically for the hearing impaired. Despite her lack of hearing, Ashmore lets her game do the talking. Ashmore averaged 8 points, 3 rebounds, 3 steals, and 2 assists in her senior season. She aided the Wolfpack in winning the MAC this year. The Bison of Gallaudet finished 7-18 last year, but won 24 games in 2011 and went to the NCAAs. The assistant coach from that team, Stephanie Stevens, enters her first year as head coach for the Bison, and Ashmore is her first recruit to sign. Ashmore was emotional and grateful for her experience at West Valley and excited about playing in a program where everyone is just like her.
It made me more involved. I can speak more. I can understand what's going on faster.
When she tried to learn the basketball, she did really hard. She watched a lot of video, watched a lot of games, and practice every day. And I try to help her a lot, and I'm proud of her.
I am very proud to my daughter, Logena is small. She really like to play basketball, and I thank you, the coach. I teach her very good, thank you.
She's going to be around kids that can communicate constantly with her and her teammates and her new teammates, and I think she's just going to fulfill her maximum potential.
And that'll do it for sports tonight. Thanks for rocking with me for a little while. Stay cool, Alaska. Mike Schultz has your full weather forecast coming up next, and we'll catch you next time.